Hey, what the fuck is up, guys? So, new season. It's the new year. We're gonna have season 9 coming out. So I just want to go over the update notes for it, or at least what is currently proposed right now. After some playtesting, it might change, but let's just get into it. So new skins: Crimson Kraken Poseidon. I like Poseidon skins. Nike skin, Daji skin. That's a cool Thanatos skin. Rama skin, Charybdis skin. Kukulkan skin. That's a cool Kukulkan skin. Loki skin. I like the frog one. Donzenboro skin, Atlas skin. It's cool he's getting one. I love Geb skins. Guardian skins are probably my favorite in the game, if I'm going to be entirely honest. Is this new Apollo default? So he's getting a redesign. That's kind of cool. Apollo skin, and then Apollo Mastery skins. New DLC. So it looks like there's going to be a new season pass for Smite. It's going to be 1,000 gems, Space Scoundrel, Donzenboro, Space Scoundrel, Loading Screen, and then all the things that are sort of associated with a season pass. Update release notes, Hellfire Syndicate Battle Pass, just all the other stuff that's happening. That's super important. The Dharmic Era event. Dharmic Bundle, just another bundle thing. Okay. Bug fixes. Persephone fixed an issue where Bone Rush wasn't applying a slow. Heimdallier fixed an issue where Bifrost ability could be used but not going cooldown in rare instances. Oh, that's kind of cool. Chunga fixed an issue where Chunga's Pirate Admiral and Pirate Queen skins played default FX for their 1s and 3s abilities. Moose and Cobb fixed an issue where the Sting of Punk skin cannot use the AoE radius of the Hive effect. Okay. I always forget how to pronounce the name, but fixed an issue where this god could still be picked when banned by other players and ranked. Okay. And then War Flag had a bug fix. Fiction issue where gold gain from this item could stop working if multiple War Flags were present on multiple players in the area. Fixed an issue where some of Thoth's, Yamoj's, and Athena's abilities were not triggering gold gain as intended. Okay, quality of life. My favorite thing is going to be probably the items and god changes, but that's going to be towards the end of the video, just heads up. But quality of life changes. New map audio. Cues have been added for various events on the various Smite game modes. And then different audio cues / is a new game mode being added in. Arena, just new sounds. Joust, new sounds. So that's kind of cool. You can read those if you care. I don't really care. Apollo remodel. So this is what it's talking about. This is just changing all the stuff with Apollo. It's going to have new sounds, a new look towards him. Kind of cool. Progression system. On 9.1, you will earn your Sobek skin for good behavior. Cool. The new season commendations skins again to be revealed later. Ranked rewards on 9.1, you will earn. Okay, so this is just the rank stuff here. And then a rank reset. Cool. / the new game mode's coming out. So it's going to be a 5v5. Starting gold is going to be 1,500. No banned items. It counts for all quests, and then Siege and Clash are going to be removed. That's kind of sad because I do enjoy playing Siege. Clash I never really enjoyed too much. But Siege was always fun. It was a terrible game mode, but it was near and dear to my heart. Kind of sucked queuing up for it though. But Clash, so this is what the new map's going to look like right here. Maps layout. Apophis chosen Juggernaut. Juggernauts have been a completely new looked model after the boss of this map, Apophis. The humanoid snake men will spawn in specific camps across the map, and when defeated will join the team who did the final blow. They will push down the lane. So it still has the Juggernaut thing with Siege, but it's having more of a Clash sort of setup. I guess it's mixing the best of both worlds, since neither of them were really played too much. The mini counter to earn Juggernauts from Siege will not exist on this map. Players must clear the camp to spawn a Juggernaut. Okay. Portals. If your team owns a Juggernaut, a portal will appear at your base. So pretty much the same thing as those Juggernauts from before. Teleportation is no longer instant, but instead a fast fight down the path lane. Gods are immune while traveling. Interesting. There will be 2 portals allowing players to choose which lane to travel to in the event of 2 Juggernauts being owned at once. Okay. Teleportation is no longer instant. A fast flight down the lane path. Okay. I don't know what that'll look like. That'll be kind of cool looking. Apophis will remain as the main jungle boss. Spawns at 10 minutes. The team that slays Apophis is granted a buff. And then just pretty much the same buff as before from killing him. Apophis becomes enhanced, providing a more powerful buff At 20 minutes, 70 magical power, 50 physical. Enemy gods hit by your abilities take damage equal to 4% of their max health over 4 seconds. You heal 4% of your health and 2% of your mana every 5 seconds. Damage to enemy structures is increased by 25. So, yeah, just interesting stuff. And then Juggernaut Camps, that's a little bit more into that. XP spooling, this is just all the information about the map. If you want to take a look and pause, go right ahead. It's something that, you know, I might get into when they actually test out the game mode, and we'll see if everything kind of goes right into it. But yeah. And then Conquest, we got some changes. New objective, the Obelisk. Each team now has an obelisk in their side of the jungle. Obelisks are banks of power, which team power up by collecting offerings. Offerings are picked up. That will drop from marked camps when the obelisk becomes active. Yada, yada, yada. New jungle, Interceptor. New NPC, the Naga. This will spawn in place of the previous lesser Scorpions. The Dragger. Balance, increased physical and magical power scaling from 2 to 4. They're getting more power on them. Yeah, just more stuff about Conquest and whatnot. Arena, increased gold spooling from 10 to 12, and XP spooling from 10 to 12 as well. And then increased scale frequency from every 2 minutes, or 3 minutes to 2 minutes. Increased scaling from 0 to 4, 0 to 1.5, melee and brutes. Interesting. Okay, down to the item changes, because this is what I really wanted to get into. It looks like new game mode, Conquest getting some changes, and so's Arena, just some different spooling stuff, new minions, you know, just shaking things up. But item changes. So they've introduced Tier 3 relics, which they used to have back in Season 1, and I believe Season 2 as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Season 3 is when they got rid of those, and they need to buy relics. And I always really miss the Tier 3 relics. I mean, I like having a low cooldown on my beads and Aegis, but having to buy them. So the first one is Aegis Amulet. Decrease the cooldown from 180 to 70. That's nice. Greater Aegis Amulet, upgraded. Decreased from 150 to 140. And then it has 2 variants at the top end. It has Aegis of Acceleration. Using this item makes you invulnerable to damage and healing for 1.5 seconds and prevents you from taking any actions. You may still move. Each instance of damage prevents this. Prevented in this time provides 7% movement speed for 4 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So this is your squishy one, like, hey, I want to get the fuck out of here after I take a bunch of damage. And then Aegis of Judgment. This is going to be a tank item. Really interesting that Aegis can now be, you know, used on some tanks. But using this item makes you invulnerable to damage and healing for 1.5 seconds. Prevents you from taking action. You may still move. At the end of the duration, you explode, dealing 100 plus 50% of the prevented damage as magical damage in a 30-unit radius. Damage dealt by this effect is capped at 50% of your maximum health. That's why it's a tank item. Because it does a crap ton of damage if you have a ton of health. So let's say you have 4,000 health. You do a maximum of 2,000 damage if somebody hits you with a huge ult in a 30-unit radius around you. So this is going to go into just dive them, pop it, and then just blow up around you. Does it tell at the end of the duration? It doesn't tell you how long the duration is, though. Or is it just at the end of the 1.5 seconds? I'm thinking that's what it means. So you can do a crap ton of damage really quick. This is going to be a very strong item for your supports. Belt of Frenzy increased damage increased from damage increased from 10% to 15%. Duration increased from 5 seconds to 6 seconds, and then cooldown increased from 120 to 130. Okay. Greater Belt of Frenzy has the increased damage percentage. Penetration buff has been removed, no longer provides penetration. Duration decreased from 8 seconds to 6 seconds, and then cooldown decreased from 120 seconds to 110 seconds. That just seems like a big nerf to that, at least in the Tier 2 slot. But Belt of Berserker. Using this item grants all allies within a 70-unit 30% increased damage dealt to all targets, including objectives, 50% movement speed, decaying every 0.5 seconds for 6 seconds. That is really strong at first glance, but decaying every half a second for 6 seconds, I'm assuming after 3 seconds, you'll have a 15% damage increase and then 25% attack speed. So it's not as glamorous as I would say it looks. But I mean, you know, you can probably siege really, really well with that if you have a good comp. But I mostly solo queue, so I don't typically have a good comp. Let me just, alright, using this item, Belt of Insatiable Hunger. Using this item grants all allies within 70 units, 15% increased damage dealt to all targets, including objectives, and 25% increased attack speed for 10 seconds. If you earn a kill or assist on an enemy god while this buff is active, the duration refreshes. This can occur once per use. I would say that this Belt of Insatiable Hunger is much better than Belt of Berserker. The exception is if you're very coordinated, the Belt of Berserker is great. You know, if you're just like diving, I think diving like a Titan or something, Belt of Berserker, you know, just to blow them up if all the enemy's dead. But this one just gives a buff that is, you know, half as strong, but it lasts 10 seconds. And this Belt of Berserker decays over 6 seconds, so it does lose its potency. So you basically have a better buff for 3 seconds on the Belt of Berserker, or you can have the same buff for 10 seconds, you know, after that 3 seconds, which I think Belt of Insatiable Hunger is going to be a better item picking that up, but not super crazy. Blink Rune, no change. Greater Blink Rune damage mitigation buff has been removed. Corrupted Blink Rune. Using this item will allow you to teleport up to 45 units away instantly. This item cannot be used if you have taken or dealt damage in the last 3 seconds on blinking. Slow all enemies, MS/AS, by 15% within a 25 unit radius for 2.5 seconds. So it doesn't give you a cooldown though, so I'm assuming it's the same as just, you know, the normal ones. That's interesting though. Gives a little bit slow on blinking. Scorching Blink Rune. Using this allows you to teleport up to 45 units away instantly, leaving behind a trail of wildfire that deals 20 true damage plus 4 true damage per level to enemies that pass through every 0.5 seconds, 4 seconds. This item cannot be used if you have taken damage in the last 3 seconds. So you have an Agni Dash, essentially. This would be a tank item. I don't see this being... I mean, well, I don't know. These are actually two interesting combinations. Different uses. I feel like the slow would be better just in general on like a tank going in. But the true damage would be kind of nice for a little extra damage. Yeah, interesting. Bracer Radiance. Power buff increased from 10% to 15%. And cooldown increased from 100 seconds to 120 seconds. Greater Bracer of Radiance. This no longer functions as a sentry ward. And then Bracer Brilliance. Place a radiant glow at a target's location for 90 seconds. Allies who move through this glow gain 20% increased power and 20% movement speed for 8 seconds. That's good. I like the movement speed. I think that's one issue that I had with the previous bracers. You didn't get any, like, a little power is nice, but I think movement speed is a much better stat. Or just increased protections from your Bracer of Brilliance. I think that would have been a cool one to throw on. Make it more of kind of like a defensive item, but, you know, that really incentivizes unfun play then, you know, just kind of camping. But the movement speed's nice, so it can be a good siege weapon now, too. This fragment acts as a sentry ward if destroyed. The cooldown of this relic is reduced by 20 seconds. Lovely. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm interested to know how much they cost more, though. If this is like a 500 gold upgrade and this is like a 1,000 gold upgrade, that'll be interesting as well. Bracer of Illumination. Place a radiant glow at a target's location for 90 seconds. Allies who move through the glow gain 10% increased power if above half health, or 15% movement speed if below half health for 8 seconds. This fragment acts as a sentry ward on use. A light sprite appears, patrolling back and forth, revealing enemies along the way. Bracer Brilliance just seems better if that's the case. The only difference is... on use, a light sprite appears patrolling back and forth, revealing enemies along the way. That's the only difference. Otherwise, Bracer Brilliance is just objectively better. Interesting, though. Meditation Cloak. Name of Meditation Cloak changed from Meditation Cloak to Cloak of Meditation. Increased base health restore from 8 to 12. That's kind of mediocre. Increased missing health scaling from 5 to 6%. That's cool. And then increased cooldown. Greater Meditation. Removed cooldown reduction effect. And then it has the same increases from the previous Meditation Cloak, and then it has a decreased cooldown instead of an increased cooldown of 140, 130. Cloak of Ascetic. Ascetic? I think that's how you pronounce it. Using this item causes you to enter a meditative state where nearby ally gods within 40 or 35 units restore 40 plus 7% of their missing health and mana each tick. Heals occur once every 4 seconds. Each pulse reduces cooldowns once every second for 4 seconds. I misread that. Each pulse reduces cooldowns for all abilities by 1.5 seconds. So you can get a what is that? That'll be 4 ticks, and I'm assuming once you pop it, it does a tick immediately. So you should have 5 ticks of this ability. If not, just you reduce 1 tick. But that's 200 base healing. Plus, that's going to be 35%. No, that's, yeah, 35% of missing health. So take that as you will. And then what is that? That's going to be a 7.5 second reduction on all your abilities. That is really strong. That's really strong. I think that might be something to pick up as well. So far, the biggest change that I'm liking is the change to the Aegis amulets. I think that's probably my favorite one so far. The Belt of Frenzies is kind of interesting as well. But Aegis amulet seems like the one to pick up, or this Greater Meditation, or the Cloak of Ascentic. Cloak of the Avatar. Using this item causes you to enter a meditative state where nearby allied gods within 35 units restore 12 plus 6% of missing health a man each tick. Heals occur every 4 seconds. You'll gain a protection barrier of wind that explodes if an enemy comes within 15 units, knocking them back. That's interesting as well. I'm interested to see what that looks like. Yeah. I think Cloak of Ascentic is just stat-wise much better, but the knockback might be good for like a squishy trying to get away. Curse Donk. Shield damage increased from 50% to 75%. I like that. Shields are kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. Added 10% increased damage taken debuff when healed by God's abilities. Okay, so they just made Curse Donk stronger, essentially. It was underperforming. Greater Curse Donk increased 75, decreased the damage taken debuff from 20 to 10%. They nerfed, it looks like they're nerfing all tier 2s, buffing up tier 1s, and then tier 3s are just going kind of crazy. And then they decreased the cooldown from 120 to 110. Or sorry, 120 to just 100. And then a Blighted Ankh. Using this reduces the healing received by all enemy gods within 55 units by 60% for 10 seconds and removes 75% of any currently applied shield. Enemies that are healed by God's abilities while affected by this curse take 20% more damage from all sources for the duration of the curse. All healing reduced by this effect is instantly distributed to your allies in 40 units around you. Okay, that's cool. That's a very because my problem with anti-heal items is I just feel they're not good. I mean, you need a bunch of them to kind of do stuff. Like I never really picked up a Cursed Ankh. So I think that's a very big counter to some healers. Drowned Ankh. Using this item reduces the healing received by all enemy gods within 55 units by 40% for 10 seconds. Remove 70% of any currently applied shield. Enemies that are healed by God abilities while affected by this curse cause a pool of miasma to form beneath them that persists for 6 seconds. The miasma deals 2% of their current health every 0.5 seconds while the enemies are inside it, and refreshes the Ankh debuff effect. That's really cool too. Those are 2 really nice anti-heal effects. I mean, there might be a reason to kind of pick up those kind of earlier in the game. Sprint cooldown increased from 120 to 130. Meh. Decreased cooldown from 120 to 110. Removed haste effect. Entangled Wings. So one thing that I kind of miss about old Sprint 2, I missed the single target old Sprint. It gave you a 40% increase in movement speed and gave you haste for 6 seconds. I'm hoping one of these do sort of the same. I like playing Poseidon. I like having haste on him. I don't like building that haste ring though. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this change. Just a single player target one. Entangling Wings. Using this item increases the movement speed of allied gods at 55 units by 25% or 20% for 5 seconds and making you immune to slows. On use, this relic also roots enemies around you for 1 second. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hasten Wings. Using this item increases the movement speed of all allied gods within 55 units by 20% for 4 seconds. So it did increase the movement speed. Makes them immune to slows, grants haste, causing them to be immune to basic attack movement penalty for the duration. Successful basic attacks increase the duration by 1 second, up to additional 4 seconds. That's kind of good too. I actually don't mind that. That's probably what I would pick up on the people that I want haste. Because you can get, 8 seconds of basic attack movement penalty gone. And then you still get the speed buff, reduced slows, immune to slows. I mean, Yeah, it seems like they're just mostly revamping. How much space do I? Oh, I'm not even close to being done either. Yeah, yeah. I mean, every season they change a ton of stuff, ton of stuff. Um, yeah. So horrific emblem. I'm actually gonna make this a little bit bigger right there. Make that easier to see. Um, greater or horrific emblem. Increase attack speed debuff from 15 to 25. Added 15% decreased damage dealt debuff, and then increased the cooldown by 20 seconds. No changes to greater horrific emblem. Then Emblem of Increasing Peril. Using this item slows the movement speed of all enemy gods within 35 units by 30% for 5 seconds. Their attack speed is also reduced by 25% for the duration. Additionally, their damage dealt is reduced by 15%. If an enemy god deals 10% of an ally god's maximum health in this time, the debuff effects are increased by 10% each, stacking up to 3 times. Okay, interesting, interesting. Emblem of Trembling Terror. Using this item slows the movement speed of all enemy gods within 35 units by 35% for 5 seconds. Their attack speed is also reduced by 25% for the duration. Additionally, their damage dealt is reduced by 15%. If an enemy is dealt 30% of their maximum health during the duration, they are trembled for 1.5 seconds. So just adding CC onto this stuff, which is kind of cool. Yeah. It's kind of neat. Magic Shell, increased duration from basic attacks, or increased damage reduction from 20% to 25. Decreased cooldown on Greater Magical Shell from 150 to 130. Fortify Shell, using this item applies a shield to themselves and allies within 35 units for 100 health plus 12% of current god level for 3 seconds. Additionally, all allies take 50% reduced basic attack damage for the duration. When the shield is broken or expires, allies gain a buff, providing 20% damage mitigation and 20 MS for 3 seconds. That's rather strong. Phantom Shell. Using this item applies a shield to themselves and allies within 35 units for 150 health, plus 15 per god level for 4 seconds. Additionally, allies take 50% reduced to basic attack damage for the duration. Using this item allows you and ally gods to pass through players and player-made objectives. Okay, so they're just getting rid of Phantom, I'm assuming, and just putting it on his shell, which that's cool. I think Fortifying Shell's better, but if you do need a Phantom, I mean, Phantom Shell's pretty good, too. If not, though, Fortifying Shell seems very, very strong. Beads. Increased cooldown from 160 to 170, nerf on beads. Cooldown increased from 130 to 140. And then we have Chaotic Beads. Using this item removes crowd control effects and makes you immune to new ones for 2 seconds. Any CC effects that is cleansed during this duration, including on activation, sends out a homing projectile to the enemy who applied it, dealing 7% of the max health. That's interesting as well. There's a lot of just new side effects that are like situationally very strong on all of the new relics. Temporal Beads. Using this item removes crowd control effects and makes you immune for new ones for 3 seconds, reducing active cooldowns by 3 seconds. Beads used to do that too. I like Chaotic Beads more though. That seems strong. Temporal Beads is good too, but I was never really good at min-maxing cooldowns and whatnot. Shield of Thorns decreases reflected damage from 30% of all damage taken to 25% of all damage taken. Added minus 25% lifesteal debuff for enemies attacking you. Note the wording of this lifesteal blocking effect was changed from can only lifesteal 25% of their lifesteal to can only steal 75% of lifesteal. To better include this effect is removing 25% of the enemy's lifesteal effectivency. Cooldown increased from 120 to 140. Greater Shield of Thorns decreased reflected damage from 30% of all damage taken to 25% of all damage taken. Decreased lifesteal debuff from enemies attacking you from 50% to 25%. So a big nerf on the mid-tier of Greater Thorns. Thorns of Overgrowth. Using this item reflects 25% of all damage you take before mitigations for 5 seconds. Back to its owner as magical damage. If you were dealt 120 times your level damage while this effect is applied, the effect will end early. What? If you were dealt 120 times your level, so let's say if you're level 10, that's 120 or 1,200, the effect will end. Well, this is active. Enemies can only lifesteal from you 40% of the total lifesteal. Additionally, you gain 5% movement speed and attack speed for each enemy god within 25 units. I don't like that. Because at max you can... I mean, you're never reflecting that much. But... I don't know. I mean, it gives you some movement speed and attack speed. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's good. Maybe not, though. Thorns of Sapping Strength. Using this item reflects 35% of all damage you take before mitigations for the next 2 seconds. Oh, that's a big nerf in timing, though. Back to its owner as magical damage. While this is active, enemies can only lifesteal from you 75% of their total lifesteal. Each basic attack from an enemy god reduces the cooldown of this item by 5 seconds. I don't know if I like either of these upgrades. They're interesting, though. Thorns of Sapping Strength is if somebody's just going to blow you up, it looks like. And then if you just take auto attacks from people, you know. I don't know, though. I don't know. Sundering Spear. Shield damage increased from 50% to 75%. Cooldown increased from 125 to 130. Not too much of a change. I think that actually just makes it a lot stronger at the tier 1. Current health damage reduced from 12.5% to 7.5%. Increased damage taken debuff decreased from 7% to 5%, and then decreased the cooldown by 15 seconds. So tier 2 got a big nerf as well. That's pretty consistently happening. Sundering Bolt. Fire a bolt that travels 70 units, stopping on first god hit and splashing in a 20 unit radius, dealing 15% of their current HP as true damage and reducing any active shields by 75%. Targets hit take 5% increased damage for 5 seconds, stacking twice. This relic has 2 charges. That's cool. Sundering Siphon. Fire a bolt that travels 50 units, stopping on the first god hit, reducing any active shields by 75% and leaking them to you for the next 4 seconds. They are dealt 5% of the current health as true damage every second, and you receive half that amount as healing. Enemies can break the link if they move past 60 units from you. This relic has 2 charges. A second hit on the same target will just refresh the duration. So it has a lower range, stopping the first god hit, reducing active shields. For the next 4 seconds, they are dealt 5% of the current health as true damage every second. So that's just 20% of their current health, and then you can hit them again to do another 20%. Effectively doing somewhere around like 30 to 40%. Max health if they're at max. That's interesting as well. I don't think... Yeah, I mean, a lot more utility on these. Man, this video is getting long. Name change from Teleport Glyph to Teleport Fragment. Greater Teleport Fragment can no longer teleport to wards. Decreased cooldown from 200 seconds to 160. How many more do we got? Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break after I get through this last relic. And then we'll finish it up in a minute. Heroic Teleport. Using this item allows you to teleport to any allied structure or ward while rooted in place. This effect is not interrupted by damage, but is interrupted by hard crowd control. After teleporting, you gain slow immunity, 20% movement speed, and 40 protections for 10 seconds. Ooh-wee, that's a lot of protections. So using this allows you to teleport to any allied structure or ward while rooted in place. This effect is not interrupted by damage, but it is interrupted by hard crowd control. So initially, but that basically just gives you 20% movement speed, 40 protection. So it's, you know, when you're teleporting in the thick of things, which is kind of nice. It has a 130 second cooldown. That is very strong. Persistent Teleport. Using this item allows you to teleport to any allied structure warded while rooted in place. This effect is not interrupted by damage, but interrupted by hard crowd control. Kills and assists on enemy gods reduce the cooldown by 10 seconds. Decrease cooldown from 160 to 90. That's good as well. Yeah, those let you just get into fights. I mean, that's a really low cooldown for just an instant teleport. Glyph items. Glyph items have been the exact same stats and passives at their base, but with one additional passive added. All glyph items cost an additional 600 gold beyond the usual tier 3 of the item. Oh, so this is, I think, all the upgraded stuff for it. All glyph items cost an additional 600 gold beyond the usual tier 3 cost of an item. This is no level restriction or amount restriction on glyph items. Players can get as many as their class allows and get them as late as they choose. Interesting. Okay, anyway, we're going to take a quick break and I'll come back in a minute. All right, let's jump into those glyphs. So glyphs are essentially a tier 4 item, it looks like. All glyphed items cost an additional 600 gold beyond the usual tier 3 cost of the item. And they add extra stats, which is kind of cool. So Amulet of Silence, this is an upgrade from Heartward Amulet. Gain a stack each time an enemy within 40 units casts an ability. At 5 stacks, your next base attack against an enemy god will silence them for 1.5 seconds. This effect can only occur every 45 seconds. So glyphs are essentially an extra passive onto the stats of the already pre-existing item. That's interesting. Get a silence. Amulet of Stronghold. 20% of your physical protections are converted to magical protections. I think that's rather strong. You know, because you can get some, I mean, you're typically going to be building, you know, both physical and magical, so rather interesting, you know, to get an extra 20% as magical protections. Breastplate of Determination, upgrade from Breastplate of Valor. Each time you're hit by an ability, gain a stack of 5 protections that corresponds to the damage type you were hit with, up to a maximum of 4 stacks of each. So if you're hit with a magical attack, you'll gain 5 magical protections. If you're hit with a physical attack, you'll gain 5 physical protections, stacking up to a total of 20 of each type. Once you reach max stacks of both kinds, gain a burst of 20% movement speed and double your protections gained by this effect for 8 seconds, after which all stacks are removed. So there's no time limit too, so once you pop it, you'll get 40 of each protections and 20% movement speed. Really neat. Breastplate of Vigilance. When your ultimate ability has finished casting, you provide an aura in a 40-unit range around you, reducing basic attack damage from enemies by 30% for 5 seconds. That's also really strong right there. Envenomed Deathbringer, upgrade from Deathbringer. Critical hit on enemy gods afflict them with poison for 2 seconds. The poison slows them by 10% and reduces their damage output by 15%. Poison Star has been removed from the game. Okay, so this is the new Poison Star, essentially. Interesting. Malicious Deathbringer. Successfully hitting an enemy god with a critical strike will subtract 1 second from all your abilities currently on cooldown, except your ultimate ability. Malice has been removed from the game. Jotun's Ferocity. Your next basic attack marks an enemy god. If you hit the marked god or the marked enemy hits you with a basic attack or ability, gain 1 stack. Each stack provides 2% increased damage towards the marked enemy, stacking up to 10 times. This effect can occur every 60 seconds. So what is that? An extra 20% increased damage towards them if they hit you and you hit them? That's pretty good. And that's a Jotun's Wrath upgrade right there. Jotun's Vigor. If you drop beneath 40% health, gain 10% movement speed and 40 physical lifesteal ability. This effect may only occur once every 15 seconds. That's damn good. That's pretty strong right there. 40% ability lifesteal. Ooh. Calamitus Rod of Tahuti. It's an upgrade for Rod of Tahuti. Successfully hitting an enemy god with an ability calls down a meteor that lands after 1.5 seconds, dealing 100 plus 30% of your magical power. Damage in a unit of 15 radius. This effect can only occur once every 90 seconds. Interesting. Nimble Rod of Tahuti, upgrade from Rod of Tahuti. For every 40 magical power, you have a 2% increased attack speed. That'll be nice for some of your AD carries. It's kind of hard to get magical attack speed, in my opinion. But those are all really cool upgrades. Crit adjustment. So critical damage multiplier has been reduced from 2 times damage to 1.75 damage. Critical strike algorithm has changed from full random to pseudo RNG to allow more consistent critical strike chance over multiple hits. So what that means, it'll be more likely, it'll become more likely to get a normal miss the longer crit streak occurs. It'll become more likely to get a crit the longer a crit miss streak hits. Critical hit sprees and critical hit misses are both less likely on the extreme ends. So essentially that means is it's not going to be, you can't get like, you know, if you have 10% crit chance, I mean, it'll be less likely to get like 5 crits in a row than, you know, it used to. It'll try to string towards having crits happen over a longer duration or more consistently. So, you know, if you have 70% critical chance, you know, they'll try to throw in some misses in there, you know, at regular intervals, you know, to be a little bit more in line with, you know, the RNG with it. Make it feel less extreme, essentially. For the most part, you shouldn't notice too much of a difference, though. Starters. So here's some changes to the starters. Warrior's Axe, decreased physical power from 15 to 10. Decreased magical power from 20 to 15. Bluestone, decreased cost by 100 gold. Seer of the Jungle, the upgrade portion, has 10 more physical power. Increase the amount of damage you deal to jungle monsters by 5%. Increase the ward vision duration from 20 to 30 seconds. Kind of neat. Protector of the Jungle, increased physical power from 65 to 70. Tainted Steel got a decreased cost of 50 gold. It wouldn't be a new season without a solid chunk of item balances, so these are just item balances right here now. Mystical Mail, decreased damage aura from 30 to 1% per level. Magical damage to 25 plus 1% per level. Mystical Mail is very strong. It's getting nerfed because of that. I'm a little sad because I like to build it, but that's not too crazy, essentially. Pride Wind, decrease the shield from 120 of your protections to 100%. So just reverting, I think, a change from prior. Bulwark Hope, decreased health shield from 15% max HP to 12%. Telekine's Ring, decreased power from 100 to 90. The buff across all of the classes for this patch are targeted towards bringing some lesser bot items back into the... So these are going to be some buffs now. It looks like those were nerfs on items. These are going to be item buffs right here. Increased health from 150 to 250 on Voidstone. Increased magical protection debuff from 10% to 15%. That's a nice change. I like Voidstone. Emperor's Armor, increased health by 50 and increased attack speed to towers, or your tower attack speed from 40% to 50%. Jade Emperor's Crown, increased health from 200 to 250 and increased physical power or a debuff from 25 to 30. Soul Lane continues to be a balanced challenge, where simple buffs and nerfs weren't enough. Blackthorn and Runeforge Hammer are seeing big changes across their entire stat spread. Blackthorn will now be much more clearly geared towards being a tanky item, while Runeforge Hammer gains an even larger amount of power to help it find its way in a few players' hands. Nemean Lion and Berserker Shields also gain small amounts of meaningful buffs to make them better, while still focused more towards warriors than other classes with increased protections. Blackthorn now builds off the Heavy Hammer tree. Cost 220. Physical power is... Wait a second. What? So are they're just getting like deferred stats? Because I know Blackthorn used to be 40 physical power, but that's 35 physical power, 300 health, plus 25 physical protections, plus 25 magical protections. Set on to its already existing stats. That's not possible. No, those are just the new stats for those items, which would be kind of cool. Runeforge Hammer plus 45 physical power, 200 health, 25 HP5, and 20 MP5. Height of the Nemean Lion increases physical protections from 80 to 90. They're really buffing this. Height of the Nemean Lion kind of sucks. Decreased time to gain a block stack from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. Nice, meaningful change, though, if you already pick up Height of the Nemean Lion, though. Increased physical protections from 35 to 45. That'll be nice. Mages have been hurting lately, especially at high level, where mage ADCs and mid-lane hunters have pushed out many of these magic wielders. Staff of Mirrodin is being buffed to provide other late game options, while Celestial Legion and Warlock's staff can present interesting new starting build options. Most importantly, Chiron's Coin and Obsidian Shard are both being buffed to make percent pen more effective on mages, giving us the most likely change of shifting the entire lane back into the direction of traditional DPS mages. Staff of Mirrodin increase magical power by 10. Increased duration of passive from 6 seconds to 8. That might be meaningful. I don't like Staff of Mirrodin, though, as an item. Celestial Legion Helm gets 20 extra magical power, and it decreased physical protection by 10. Warlock Staff increased magical power from 85 to 95, so that'll give you, 155 max magical power at the end. That's kind of nice. I still build Warlock Staff because it's a tanky item. Increased magical power from 70 to 80. All right, good change there. Decreased cost of Obsidian Shard from 2,550 to 2,450, and increased the power by 10, giving it 100 magical power, which is kind of nice. Rage increased power from, so since they're nerfing crit items, they're gonna buff some of these. Increased power from 30 to 35, decreased costs on Fail Not by 150 gold. Deathbringer got increased by 5 power. 5% critical hit strike and a decrease of 100 gold. Shadow Steel Shuriken increases attack speed buff from 15 to 20. Increased duration of healing reduction debuff from 6 seconds to 10 seconds. So they're really try to take a hit to these hunters or healers. My apologies. Malice has been removed from the game, but lives on as a glyph. Poison Star has been removed from the game, but lives on as a glyph. Atalantis Bow, 2350 cost, 40 physical power, 25 attack speed, 20% crit chance. Oh, that's different. That'll be kind of cool. And 10% lifesteal. Passive is unchanged. Silver Branch Bow got an increased cost of 200 and increased physical penetration from 10% to 20%. I think that's worth it. Devourer's Gauntlet. Decreased stack count from 70 to 50. Increased power per stack from 0.5 to 0.8. Increasing total power. So it stacks quicker and you have an extra 5 power max stacks. That is a really nice buff to that. Increased max stacks from 2 to 3. Now giving, instead of 40% healing reduction, 60%. Hydra's Lament now gets 10 physical protection and increased 150 gold. That's good. Golden Blade has 5 more power and 5% more attack speed. Soul Eater's physical power now gets a 5 extra power at start. And then increased physical power from 35 to 40 for Evolved Soul Eater, and ability lifesteal from 20% to 25%. Bludgeforge gets a decrease of 50 gold when purchasing and 5% movement speed. That's good. The new god continues to bear just a few too many burdens. So Atlas is not... I haven't really played too much with Atlas. But it looks like he's not performing super well. His overly conservative release put him on the lower end of the god pool, but he's determined to rise up. The hotfix buffs some keys concerned with it. Better base stats for tanking, noticeably damaged CC, additional CC, whatnot. Okay, so he gets an extra 5 movement speed. Base HP is increased by 20, and then per level he gets an extra 8 HP. So maxing out, that'd be an extra 160 it looks like, plus the 20 of an extra close to 200 more HP. The Astrolabe decreases the size of the passive meter UI art. Unburdened damage increase from 30 to 170 to 50 to 190, and increase slow from 15 to 25 to 20 to 30. Gravity Pool, Atlas is now knockback immune while firing this ability. Kinetic Charge, the ability now damages minions it passes through. The ability now has a base slow of 25% applied to God's hit, even if no slows were cleansed. It decreases stack of slow from 3 to 2, so the max slow is still 75%, but easier to obtain. Interesting, yeah. And then these are some God nerfs right here. Decrease self-heal from 8 to 40 to 8 to 32 on Devour. That's the tick. Bat Out of Hell, increase cooldown to 100 seconds, and then it has a decreased base damage of 100 to 280 to 100 to 260 per hit. Hits up to 3 times. So a little bit less damage on the ultimate. Soul decreased passive heat generation from 40 to 80% to 30 to 70%, so 10% less at all ranks. Disapparate, increase cooldown 1 second, and then decrease the movement speed from 20 to 40 to 20 to 30. Still a really good ability, though. Bastet Razor Whip, decreased physical power scaling from 25% to 20% per tick, giving it 20% less scaling. And then Huntress of Bast, add additional audio cues on the pre-fire of this ability for clarity, increase cooldown from 90 seconds to 110, scaling down to 90. Odin, increase cooldown from 15 to 11 to 16 to 12 on Lunge. And then Raven Shout, increase cooldown from 15 to 11 to 16 to 12. Nike, decrease shield from 30 to 40% scaling to 25 to 35%. So that looks like a 5% nerf at all ranks. Oh, this has been a long one. Long patch. I mean, that's what all these new season patches are, though. Sentinel of Zeus, decreased shield from 30% to... I already read that one. It's Geb. Decreased shield health scaling from 20% per level to 15 per level of Geb's level, decreasing max shield from 650 to 550. Decreasing shield duration from 3 seconds to 5 seconds to 2 seconds to 4 seconds, so 1 second less at all durations. We have a variety of buffs prepared for the new season, mostly geared towards gods who have seen lower play counts recently, or especially low community sentiment. A few highlights: big QOL and casting time improvements for Baba Yaga's ultimate, and new types of CC for Kanonos, Horus, Jormungandr. Okay, so Arachne, 2 less seconds on her web cooldown, which that is a nice quality of life change. Amaterasu, increase uncharged damage from 70 to 190 to 70 to 210. Or, yeah, 210. And the full charge is 140 to 380 to 140 to 420. 420, baby. No, just more damage. That's nice. Jormungandr, increase base movement speed by 5. A movable, decrease self-slow from 20% to 15%. Decrease damage taken debuff from 10% to 5%. And that's his passive, so he's not able to be like displaced. Venomous Haze, increase slow from 15% to 20%. Increased base damage from 10 to 50 to 15 to 55 per tick. So an extra 5 at all levels. Tier, increase base damage from, on Lawbringer, which is the ultimate, 150 to 450 to 200 to 600. Ooh, wow. That's kind of a big one. It's a lot more damage. 50 at the base rank, and then I think an extra 75 at all other ranks. 75 in the first one, so it goes up by 75, and this one just goes up by 100 each time. So an extra 25 scaling damage at each rank. Baba Yaga, increased damage from 85 to 225 to 95 to 235, so an extra 10 damage at all ranks. Home Sweet Home, remove Self-Root on fire. Oh, that is good. That is so good. Because when I was doing my Baba Yaga guide, Home Sweet Home's a great chasing ability, but you get self-rooted for a second, so you can't really, like, you got to be kind of close to them. But now you're not rooted, so you can just keep on walking. That's going to be a nice kill confirm ability. Reduce pre-fire time from 0.5 seconds to 0.2 seconds, and then you get to throw them out a lot quicker. That's a good change to roll. That's actually very strong. Bramble Blast, direct hits now apply a root and cripple instead of just a root. Current Bog, increase base damage on detonate from 15% to 20% of Current Bog's basic attack power on Cold Heart. Crystallized Curse, speed up the travel time on the initial heat. Increase range from 55 to 60. Nice. That'll be nice. A little bit more confirmed for Crystallized Curse. Horus, increased updraft scaling from 65 to 75% of Horus physical power. Increased gust damage from 20 to 60 to 30 to 70. And then reduce the cooldown from 15 to 13 to 14 to 12. That'll be nice. Fracture, increased cleave damage from 60 to 190 to 60 to 220. That's good as well. Well, that's what an extra... So it's an extra 5 at the first rank. It's an extra 20 at the second rank, and then... Well, it gives you an extra 30 damage at the end rank. But, yeah, that's nice. A little bit more damage than a horse. Time Lord decreases time per stack from 2 minutes to 1.5 minutes. Buffed to 125 at 37.5 minutes. So that is Kronos' passive. Gets extra power for how long the game goes on. So at 37.5 minutes, you will have the full 125 extra power buff. Nox, increased minion damage from 50 to 10 to 70 to 230, so an extra 20 at all ranks. Update description to make sure this minion is clearly labeled as minion-only damage. Good to know. And then the last god change, Iset. Increased aura radius of ally buff from 40 units to 55 units, which is a full auto attack away. Decreased mana cost on Wind Gust from 80 to 100 to 60 to 80, so 20 less at all ranks. And then Spirit Ball, increased base damage from 70 to 230 to 70 to 250. And yeah, new voice actor skins for those guys. That is all the changes so far. After the patch finally hits out of the test realm, I'm sure some of these will be tweaked. But yeah, this is Season 9. That's kind of crazy. I will catch you guys in the next one, though. Peace.